So look, good morning. You're welcome to the Moving On open morning. So we're here this morning with regard to the next project in Moving On 2021 in these extraordinary times in the middle of the pandemic and lockdown. Who would have thought this time last year we'd still be in the same position? So basically the run through for this morning is Lisa O'Flaherty's here from Moving On. I'm Lisa Fingleton here from Moving On, and we've June Balneo from Grow Remote. So we just want to give you a brief overview of what Moving On is. Now, we know some of you are with us a few years, but it just may have changed slightly, and maybe you came to an open day 3 years ago and you might have forgotten just some of the basics. So I'm just going to run through that very briefly. Then Jude is going to explain how Moving On is going to be working with Grow Remote this year. Then what we're going to do is we're recording this for maybe women who can't access this morning. We'll turn off the video recording and there'll be an open forum for you to ask any questions. So what I would suggest is if you want to grab a pen or paper, if you're so inclined to take down questions, but equally if you want to put them in the chat as we're going along so we don't forget them, that would be great as well. So look, you're all so welcome, and we're gonna plow on because we've plenty to get through. So I'm just going to share my screen. And if there's any issue with seeing my screen, do let Lisa know there. She's on the Moving On from beginning. So Lisa, are we good? Oh, I can't hear you, but I'm assuming I'm okay because you'd be waving at me.
We're good.
Yeah, so super. So here we are Moving On, and some of you are in this photograph. So this was a Christmas party when we could all be close together, and this was in our building in North and East Kerry Development in Tralee. So just to recap, so how is Moving On funded and supported? We're managed by North and East West Kerry Development, NEWKD. We're funded through the European Social Fund as part of PEL, and that's the Programme for Employability, Inclusion and Learning, and the Irish Government. So between 2019 and 2022, we were funded in the previous round under a previous PEL programme, and we're very grateful for funding up to 2022. So the staff of the project, I know a lot of you know us as the 2 Lisas, but there's actually 3 Lisas. So there's Lisa O'Flaherty, Lisa Fingleton and Lisa Carolyn, and we work on the project together. So the project, I'm just going to give you what was in our, what we applied to the department for, because sometimes we forget to go back to you on that. So the project will support 111 women, they're very specific about numbers, to become active in the labour market through a flexible programme which responds to their needs. And this was at our International Women's Day event last year. We had 70 women just before the lockdown started, I should say, and it was a beautiful morning. So some of the goals of the project, one of them is about enhancing the life skills and opportunities of participants through personal development training and mentoring. And this training will focus on building confidence and self-esteem, as well as clarifying visions and goals. And I suppose we're doing this is our 3.5 years working with Moving On now. And we find that so many of you have so many skills and so many talents, but maybe after being out of work for a while, that maybe your confidence isn't as much as it had been in the past. And just a little bit of confidence and self-esteem goes a long way. And I think from the feedback we'd have is from working with each other that the confidence and everything else comes back very fast. This is Nadia Ramatar, who did a talk for us 4 weeks ago on personal development and finding your mojo. And Nadia will be working with us again on that whole thing of building our confidence in personal development. So something else that we focus on, of course, is supporting women, just let me move my screen, supporting women to access long-term quality employment through workshops in CV and cover letter preparation, interview skills and networking. And a lot of you will be very familiar with Mary Beery here in the centre of that photograph, who really has just been an incredible support to the project. So just move on there. Another very important element of the programme is providing training and upskilling opportunities, preparing women to return to the modern workforce. What we found was that a lot of women had IT skills that were out of date, and that was really challenging. So many of you wanted to get back into office environments and that kind of work, but you didn't feel that your skills were up to date. So by working with the Kerry Education and Training Board, and also MTU now, which is the old IT Tralee, we've managed to do some really great upskilling in terms of technology. And this is at the graduation in the IT Tralee. And this is another photograph of our brilliant graduation day pre-lockdown. Another important element of the programme for us, I mean, Radio Kerry has such a huge listenership, and they've enabled us to do training with them. So women, some of you here present today, did training with Joe McGill and different staff in the Radio Kerry to put together programs about your experiences, which have been invaluable in terms of reaching out to other women. So, and we'll be doing that again. Just we have to figure out how the logistics of it with the lockdown. But I suppose Radio Kerry have been really invaluable to us throughout the whole process. And then another element of the programme is developing strategic alliances with employers and employer networks around flexible working and climate change. So this is an event we organised with Kerry Business Women's Network and Karen O'Reilly Employ Flex. And this time round, we really articulated, I suppose, the goals around flexible working and remote working. And this time last year, who would have thought that remote working would become something that we'd probably all be involved in at some level? And then climate change. Climate change is now one of the horizontal principles in all EU funding, which means that every project that's funded by the EU has to be addressing the issues of climate change because of the significance and I suppose the imminent threat that it poses to us all. So just to give you a brief idea, some people might be wondering how we managed during lockdown and what we did. So we had different speakers and some really inspiring women over the last year. Nora Casey gave a fantastic talk. Aideen Barry is an incredible artist, international artist who's gone to space with a Hoover and all sorts of interesting things. She did a great talk for us. Orla Dibley has been very invaluable to the project in terms of, she was talking about dressing for the new normal. How do we get out of pajamas when this is all over? Astrid Longhurst, just very motivational, amazing woman, and was able to translate, I suppose, the movement and everything that she would do in real time and in real life onto Zoom. We had a fantastic session with her. And we had 42 women at this talk with Kathy Eastman there in February. And Kathy talked about how as a mom, you can feed your family from a very small area. So that was a fantastic workshop. So just going forward this year, it's very different because we're in lockdown. We're planning to be online because we don't know when we'll be able to come back in person. We're developing alliances with the Kerry Business Women's Network again. Very importantly this morning, Grow Remote. And we also have the Tralee Chamber on our advisory group, which is really important because we need to keep those links with employers. Because ultimately this is a jobs program and about supporting you to get back to work. There are contact details, but they're also available. And actually the website is relatively new, but I haven't put it on here. If you need any more information, you can go to movingon.ie and we'll have everything up there for you as well. And including you can contact us through a contact form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign out of here. And if you have any questions, I'm really happy to answer them at the end, or I know a lot of you have been talking to Lisa already. So I'm just going to hand you over to June now to talk about the Grow Remote program, because this year, in the past, we would have run a career development program and a personal development program, and then you would have gone on to do your training in the IT. But this year, because everything's online, we've been looking at programs that we feel would really benefit you and that would be really useful skills for women to have in Kerry. So the Grow Remote are already running a program, and what we're suggesting is that we link in with them, but they will deliver a specific program for moving on. So I'll hand you over to June. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Oh, there we go. Thank you so much for the introduction, Lisa. Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm very glad to be here to be able to share to you the ongoing program that we have with Grow Remote. I am going to go ahead and share my screen to give you like a walkthrough, more like you can consider this as an orientation to our course. This is what we normally walk the learners through when we are onboarding them into our course. Let me know if you can see my screen. There we go. Are you able to see my screen now? All good? All right, so the Remote Work Ready program we are actually funded by the LOETB, IDA Ireland, and Solace. And this is in partnership with these three organizations. And we have been doing the program since pre-COVID. So this the inception of the course has been a long time. We have many iterations before the current program that we have right now, but just to give you an idea, this has been ongoing for over a year now. And we're very kind of lucky because we're in the forefront of change. And basically, we kind of, the pandemic is unfortunate, but however, it kind of like, because we were able to prepare ahead, we were able to jump into action as soon as people were laid off, they got unemployed, or especially people in retail that needs to be physically in stores or in offices. We were able to help them and train them and find remote jobs for them, or at least directed them where to find these jobs. And so we'll walk you through the process. We'll walk you through the overview of the course. Before that, I would like to introduce myself again. My name is June Bolneo. I'm actually not in Ireland. I'm in Portugal. I'm probably the only employee in Grow Remote that is not in Ireland. However, I have been working with them since 2018, and I've been a really big part on kind of designing the program that we have at the moment. And we've been training, personally, I've been training people how to work remotely since 2012. And that when remote work was still, not a thing. And so what we are bringing to the table now is the years of experience that we have as a group in helping people transition from in office to online. Right. And so who is involved with the Grow Remote training? So Grow Remote is on a mission to normalize remote working. And so our mantra is we make remote work local. And what does that mean? We train people who are in rural areas or people who are also in the cities who wants to move to rural areas. We want to decentralize the jobs in the market so that you can go ahead and work from anywhere, or anywhere with internet at least, right? So that's the mission of Grow Remote. And so the people who are involved with the training specifically is myself. I'm going to be your facilitator. And then the second person who is going to be involved in the training is your QQI tutor, which is going to be the tutor for the customer service part, because there are two parts in the training, which I will explain a bit more later on. We have the Grow Remote volunteers, and then we have the LOETB team, who is also there to support us whenever we need them. And so the goal of the program is to give you structure and guidance in how to adapt to working remotely, right? Improve how you present yourself when you're applying for work online. Strategize on how you can progress in your career while working remotely, and build a global community of remote workers. This is our main goal. And so Grow Remote is a big community of remote workers. There is about 100 plus chapters all over Ireland, and all over the world actually, but most of them are in Ireland because we are funded. We are founded in Ireland. We are registered in Galway. Our co-founders are Rose Beret and Tracy Kale. And basically for this specific training that we have, because we have two trainings, but I think the relevant training for you is the remote work training program. For the remote work ready program, we have three parts. As I mentioned, you have the online self-paced modules, which is on something that you do on by yourself. We have the remote work ready calls, which is facilitated calls by myself. And we have the customer success and client relations calls, which is the QQI portion of the course. So there's three parts, and we'll discuss a little bit what to expect on each of these parts, right? So what to expect? We have remote work ready calls, which are lectures and activities and Q&As. These calls are just 1 hour calls once a week, and they are done with me. And during the calls, you will be with the other learners, and you will have breakout sessions, and we will have activities within those calls, right? The second portion is the CS calls, or the customer success calls, which is going to be with your QQI tutor, right? These are live classes, and then typically they are in the morning And then in the afternoon, you will have some projects that are assigned by your tutor, but these are not face-to-face. Just the live classes are typically 2 or 3 times a week, and they are 3 hours at most. The live calls are 3 hours at most. And then the homework or the project you can do by yourself during the afternoons. So if to review, you have 1 hour calls for the remote work ready, and then you have 2 to 3 hour 3 hours 3 hours of calls with the customer service tutor, but that's twice, so that's 6, so around 7 hours of calls every week. It's what we expect, and then plus the peer-to-peer calls, which is during Fridays. This is voluntary. You don't need to participate them, but we would encourage you to join them, because this is the time that you can actually bond with the other learners and discuss what were the activities during that week. So in total, with the live calls, you will have about 6 hours with the customer service calls, and then 2 hours for the remote work ready and peer-to-peer sessions, right? So just to give you an idea of how many hours of calls it is per week. Now, the self-paced modules, there's going to be a new module available every Monday. You need to complete the module before the week ends, and each module is an average of 1 to 2 hours. Most of the time, based on experience, it doesn't take that long. It's usually, you can breeze through it. And we only give the allowance 1 to 2 hours, because if in case you want to read more, or if you want to do a little bit more research about the topics that we are discussing, then you will be able to have some time to do that yourself. But these are typically less than an hour to do. So it should not take you longer than 3 hours. This is what the online self-paced section looks like. I can show you the platform. So the online self-paced module is something that you would take yourself. Here you can, as soon as the module is released, you will be able to access it, and you can take the modules yourself at your own pace, right? So with regards to the rest of it, so once you've completed the online self-paced course, you will be awarded with a digital badge. The digital badge is something that you could use in your LinkedIn profile. So it would look like this, this is the first of its kind, especially in Ireland. You will be one of the very few people who would have the digital badging for Grow Remote, and it would look something like this that you can put in your profile. So it will be added in your licenses and certifications, and you can use it when you're applying for work. It's good to have it there, because then they know that you went through the training and you are qualified to be a remote worker. And of course, aside from that, once you have completed the QQI as well with your customer success and client relations tutor, you will have the QQI certification as well. So the remote work ready calls are a series of live facilitated calls that will help you adapt to working remotely. So there are 8 calls in total, and typically we schedule them once at the moment. The current schedule that we have is on Tuesdays, right? But that normally depends on what's going to be available, and I will share with you later what is the schedule that we have that you can enroll for the next 2 batches. So it's done over Zoom. Try to do it with your computer. Most of the time, we encourage people to use their computer to attend, but of course you can attend using your phone. It's just that because we will have activities during these calls, we try to encourage them to use the computer, stable connection, a mic, and a video if available. Your CS calls, your customer success and client relations calls is with your tutor. It's also done with Zoom. They also encourage you to do it with your computer because you will be discussing and doing activities there as well. And the same thing, stable connection, mic and video if available. So what do we talk about? We talk, as you remember, we released a module every week. So there is a topic per week, and we will be discussing that for the entire week. We will be doing presentations, breakout rooms, activities that you can do on your own for the entire, right? And also during the live calls, we will answer any of your questions you might have about the subject, for example, virtual communication or time management. We will be doing activities regarding those specific topics as well. So your time commitment, I'm just going to reiterate and make it a little simple because I feel like I haven't explained it well. So your time commitment is 1 to 2 hours for the remote work ready, 1 to 2 hours, because remember the peer-to-peer session is optional, but we require you to do the 1 hour call where we will be discussing the topic, and 6 to 9 hours a week for the CS calls. And then we have 1 to 2 hours for the course week. So what is required? We would require you to complete the self-paced module, which is needed for you to get the digital badge. If you cannot complete it, we will not be able to award you. We would, because there's 8 calls for the remote work ready calls section. There's 8 of them. We would require you to at least attend 5 of those calls. If you miss a call, it's okay. We have them recorded and we can send them over to you, and you can view them. You can watch them at your own pace, at your own time later. But the value of the calls are in the interactions with the people, like the breakout sessions, the activities that you do live. So as much as possible, we would like you to participate in them. Oh, sorry. And then complete all 14 calls for the customer success and client relations calls. Because this is QQI, there is a certain amount of hours that you need to be with the tutor, like the face-to-face interaction with the tutor. If you're unable to complete this during the specified time, it's okay. You can talk to the tutor and maybe reschedule it, and they are very flexible when with regards to this. Of course, they would want to do it all at once at the same time, but if there are like emergencies and certain circumstances that you cannot avoid and you miss a call or two, then it's okay for you to discuss that with the tutor. And then complete all individual assignments and assessments. Right. What we encourage people during the peer-to-peer sessions, the one that I mentioned that is optional, we typically do them every Friday. We would like you to be, to meet with your peers, because you can go ahead and help each other out. One of your activities is going to be recreating your CVs and writing your cover letters. And if you're already applying, you can ask your peer, like, hey, can you go ahead and review this? We can review each other's CVs, and you can, recommend what I need to change. Sometimes even the spell checking or the grammar check is already a huge help, and you can do that together with, with the other learners. So the important details to take note of: you need to complete the self-paced training. We keep repeating this because for you to be able to actually get the digital badge, you need to complete the self-paced training. One of the portions of the program as well is that we're working with a third-party provider or a third-party company. Helen from EmployFlex is going to help us review your CVs and your cover letters, and also your LinkedIn profile. So that means that you can schedule one-on-one meetings with Helen and her team, and they can go ahead and sit down with you and do some coaching about your CV. So especially if you are not sure how to position yourself, if you don't know what type of position you're going to apply for, it's really helpful for you to book that to schedule that call with her, so that you can she can review your CV and help you maybe decide also which position you should target based on your skills. Now, the same thing, submit your cover letter, because we review it, and then update your LinkedIn profile. This is the top 4 things that we recommend, because the first part of the program, the first 4 weeks, is to get you ready to work remotely, like, your time management, self-organization, virtual communication, informing you about remote work culture. These are all like, within you. But then the second portion of the training is more geared towards job hunting. And that means skill mapping, reviewing your CV, reviewing your cover letter, reviewing your LinkedIn, and then also helping you how to strategize your application or your job hunting later on, right? And so you will get this digital badge, and like I said, you'll be able to upload that into your CV. Some of the things that we do during the virtual communications work is to learn about the digital collaboration tools like Mural. And so this is an example from the last batch that's in the program at the moment. So we teach them how to or like let them play around with the tool, and so that you'll be familiarized with what these digital tools are. We will provide you like basic training and what it is used for. And also one of the other, in the 3rd week, we have the project management activity, which is we will teach you what Notion is and how you can use it, not just for work, but for your personal use as well. For example, if you want to do a to-do list, a journal, you can go through and play around with the tools. And also with the time management, we help people do time blocking. And we talk about like, how can you apply this immediately? Like, these are things that you can apply right away. You don't even need to, like, ideally, we would like you to apply this at work, that meaning that you've found work already. But these are practical stuff that you can apply immediately, even with homeschool. If, I'm sure there's people of you who are homeschooling already. You can use the tools that we are going to be introducing in this course, with the stuff that you're doing at the moment. We also will guide you with regards to setting up your workstation in our forum. There's a lot of our students have already started sharing their workstation. So some of them are bragging about their workstation. Some of them are saying that they are still like trying to pimp up their workstation. But it's a really good, it's more like a type of a community learning, because everybody is going through the same process. What's really important and what we try to emphasize to people is that this change, this is a social change. This is something new, and most of the time people are insecure when we're about to embark a change. Like, maybe you have a career working as an accountant for 10 years, and all of a sudden you're swept into remote working, and you have no idea what to do, in a digital setup with the way that we are working right now. That's the most common thing. What Grow Remote is doing is that we are trying to remind you that, hey, those experiences that you have in your previous work, that's actually something you can apply to the current job market right now. And we're just kind of putting 2 and 2 together and, connecting the dots for you, that these are the jobs in the market, these are your skills, and these are the things that you can do, with them. Or if you need more skilling, if you need more help with regards to what are the things that you need to, learn to be able to apply to these types of jobs, we can help you with that too. And because we are partners with companies, with remote companies like Shopify, eBay, HubSpot, who hire people remotely within Ireland.
Just to refer people on, if they want more information, to go to the movingon.ie website. And just to say as well that on the website, there's a lot of women's experiences about moving on. So there will be podcasts posted there over the next couple of weeks. And thanks to all the women who participated in that. There's also testimonials on the website. So you can talk about the experiences of other women. And just to say as well that we're hoping that the plan is that our work with Grow Remote, that you will be registering as a group, so that the Moving On group will register together, so we can discuss the fine details of that with June later. But the idea is that you go through it together, because we feel that's quite important. So